All right, welcome. Welcome to our webinar. I know we've been doing these monthly ones as an overview of the Digital Codes Premium, DCP, if you hear us refer to them. This one, we're getting a little bit more specific because we just launched a great new updates on the website, so a lot of new functionality. Presenting today is Daniel Janicek, so he's going to take over after I do the intros here. Also with us is Joram Swade. Both Joram and I'm Phil Anthony. We'll be taking questions in the chat. If it's something that pertains to where Daniel's at, we'll go ahead and interrupt, but feel free to post questions in the chat as we're going along, and we'll answer them as we can. And also after the event, if you're a new user of Digital Codes Premium or you're looking to integrate it into your organization, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is there. If you want to jot it down, I'll post it at the end as well too. Just wanted to point out this, a lot of these new improvements are being taken from our customers. So as you're coming into, this is where we're going to be going over all this content, new features on the website with Daniel. But please feel free as you come visit and are using this. You see on the side here, there's a feedback form. We'd love to hear how you're using the codes and any suggestions you may have for enhancements. Please let us know there. If you're using the codes and you have questions, also want to let you know that we do have the live chat. Like I said, this is a great platform that's going to make collaboration with your department really easy. But if you ever get stuck on anything, please feel free to contact me or contact our great customer support group, and they'll answer any questions that we have. So we will get started right here. Let me switch it over to Daniel, and Daniel, you can start whenever you are comfortable and ready.
All right, so starting off, as Phil had alluded to, we made some changes to the platform recently. For those that are frequent visitors of the ICC Digital Codes platform, you probably found a different experience as you pulled it up this week. So what we want to go through today is a little bit of a review or introduction for those that may be seeing us for the first time, and provide some context as to what the changes were and why we made the changes that you're seeing in front of you here now. So starting with the landing page, one of the big changes is going to be these navigation buttons along the top, providing a more direct opportunity to delve into the breadth of content available on the Digital Codes platform. The messaging or the branding on Digital Codes has been the most trusted, authentic source of building codes, standards, and more. And it's this last word, the more aspect, that we've really aggressively been expanding our content across the platform. And we want to make sure that users are aware of those opportunities and are discovering that content and taking advantage of it. The codes and standards obviously provide the requirements or the adopted and enforceable codes, but it's the supplemental materials that roll up under the more that really provide that context or that understanding of how the codes have evolved and ensuring that the visitors of the site have the context for applying or interpreting the codes correctly. So as we go across the top here, we have iCodes first. Our standards is a growing set of SDO, Standards Development Organization titles that are referenced across the iCodes and our custom state codes. And this dropdown here allows users to quickly see all of the SDOs that are representative across the site and jump immediately into them, APA for example, to see the titles that are available on Digital Codes for consumption. I will point out as we navigate to some of these category pages, a number of them are going to have this P icon underneath the title. That's going to identify titles that do not have a basic allowance, meaning these do require a premium subscription to access. But there is another identifier which we're going to show in a second here as we click through. All right, coming back to the landing page, we also have all of the location breakout. So this is going to be the codes that are adopted and enforceable on a state-by-state basis, or even as we expand and embrace the international portion of our name, country basis. So we've got a couple here at the tail end: Caribbean, Ghana, Haiti, Mexico, and Puerto Rico. And then the second row is really where we embrace the more and advocate of the contents that are expanding on the platform. Resources in particular provides a lot of that supplemental content, including significant changes, revision history, as we branch into more of the study companion type opportunities, the essentials guides, and even our most recent addition here, flashcards. where we took a primarily physical product that ICC has offered in the past, and we gave it a little bit of a retrofit to make it a digital experience. We're going to step through and look at those in just a second so you can see how that digital opportunity has made those more accessible. Topics and publishers here provide a grouping of similar types of titles or contents as they relate to one another. Topics here, green and sustainability, electrical, energy, fire as an example. So depending on the sector of the space that you're working within, it's an opportunity to see a subset of the titles that are supporting or relevant to your particular use case. And then same thing with publisher. And again, as we continue to expand and craft licensing agreements with external entities, we pull more of those in, SEAC, ICBO, Wiley as examples of those. And again, the category page provides a lot more context over what those titles are and how those contents are going to be available based on your basic or your premium allowances. And then last but not least is the collections tab. And this is really nice as we continue to grow the groupings of contents. Those that are subscribing to a premium subscription, a collection is a pre-bundled set of titles that offers a little bit of a more value or a price break, if you will, because you're subscribing to multiple titles through one subscription, as opposed to our premium singles where you would go title by title. And our largest of the collection offerings, Premium Complete, is accessible from here as well. And as I click through, one of the enhancements you'll notice is what we're calling our collection landing pages. With Premium Complete in particular, we had heard from users, there was constant questions, how many titles are incomplete and what are those titles? So when trying to make that decision on what level of premium to subscribe for, understanding the contents as well as the features that were going to be made available. So what we've actually done here is pulled in a dynamic count. So as we continue to add more and more titles to the platform, you can see in real time that Premium Complete is on the cusp right now of 800 distinct titles part of this one subscription. And as we scroll down the page, all of those individual titles are listed out here, where you can click on Show More, and we can lazy load and scroll through every one of those individual titles. Or if there's a particular title of interest that the audience wants to confirm as a part of this subscription, of this collection, excuse me, before deciding to commit, you can leverage this search field right here. Requirement is that you do spell it correctly, which is always difficult when you're talking and typing. But as you can see here, typing building does refine this in real time. So you can see all of the titles that roll up to this subscription that have the word building in them, or even abbreviation. So if I wanted to do something like IBC. And it gives the opportunity to confirm what contents are a part of this before the user transitions their focal point here to the right-hand column, and they see the simplified pricing representation on the durations and the costs roll into these offerings. With the column view, it becomes simpler to compare the longer durations and how that rolls up to an individual price. Billed monthly, for example, and I am not signed in, so this would be the non-member rate at $88, and then comparing that to the annual, you can see there is a 9% price break, and you're able to see it actually rolls up to $80 per month on an annual basis, and then even significantly cheaper as you commit for longer durations. Additionally, the price is applied in real time as the quantity goes up, and you can see here we do identify that there are volume discounts applied as you increase the quantity, and those percentage breaks are listed out here in the dropdown. So 25% per license as you go to 2, 30% all the way up to 50% to those that are 50 and beyond. And then as we scroll down, just a nice concise listing of the premium features with an opportunity to learn more about those. Transitioning back to the main column here, in addition to all of the titles rolled up into Premium Complete, we also have those titles that are exclusive to the Premium Complete offering. So as of right now, these 154 titles can only be acquired by way of Premium Complete, and the users have the opportunity to see what all of those are. And then kind of a pulse or a running list, if you will, on the recently added, so those titles that were included in Premium Complete most recently. And even those for different reasons that aren't a part of Premium Complete, but are available on digital codes with a premium subscription for transparency, as well as to ensure that users who do have interest in these titles that aren't part of Complete can click through on any one of these, and they can see the pricing opportunities to be able to add this individual title to their premium subscription. All right, So we'll go back to the landing page. And as we scroll down the rest of the page, I just wanted to call out some useful information for repeat visitors. Again, for a non-signed in experience, which is what I'm consuming it through right now, we have our subscribe to premium complete, which is going to take us right back to that page we just viewed, our complete collection page. We have the prominent call for the 14-day free trial. For those that haven't given premium a chance yet, I strongly encourage taking advantage. Unlike a lot of other trials on the marketplace today, this one does not require any payment or credit card information to be entered. It is truly an open 14-day experience to see all of the content, all the features, all the value of our premium complete offering. And then our Learn More, which identifies more of the features to learn more about. The carousel here is consistent from what was previously in the design. You will be prompted when you visit Digital Codes to share your location with the platform. And what you do with that information is serve up the titles that are currently associated with the state that you're connecting from. So we can serve those up for convenience and for access. For those that either can't have the geolocation read or don't allow access to the site to see your geolocation, you would see what I have on my screen here, which is the most recent version of the iCodes. A call out here for our premium mobile app, as well as some of the other enhanced features the premium allows. I want to make sure that everybody does recognize what a value the mobile app is as an extension of your premium subscription. So what that means is no additional purchase is necessary. You would download and log into the app, and it gives you access to all the contents, all the features from your premium subscription, just based on your current login and password. The biggest benefit is this being a native mobile experience, whether it be from your phone or from your tablet, supports an offline capability. So what that means is for those that work out in the field or even travel a lot where you're on an airplane mode, for example, that a live internet connection might not be available, you can download up to 15 titles and be able to pull up the full contents and even perform searches across it in the absence of an internet connection. It's a really powerful feature there. As we expand the publishers, again, pulling in more of the logos, making that more prominent, leveraging testimonials so that users can learn more about the experience or the positive experiences from other users. Some beneficial links from some of our custom state codes, our topic industries. And then the big one down here is the frequently asked questions. And again, one of the common ones we hear at ICC a lot is what is digital codes and compare and contrast that against digital codes premium. So we've tried to pull some of that information in here, and the digital codes is the platform. So this is the website where you can access all this great content from, and digital codes premium is the exclusive content behind a subscription and all of those great features that enhance how you consume this content and understand the evolution of these codes and how to apply them successfully. All right, so I'm going to scroll back up here. From the carousel, I wanted to show an access point to the contents. So hovering over any one of these titles, and this is going to be consistent with how you would access the contents from the category pages as well. But a big difference is no longer are you presented multiple buttons where the user has to choose subscribe to premium or view basic. Now all of those controls are a single click where the user is brought into what we're calling here are the product landing pages or the title landing page. Similar to what you had seen from the collection landing page, we do have the simplified pricing for premium subscriptions here on the right-hand side. This would all be based on the individual title that the user is currently viewing. But under the bundle and save, we do call out the collections as well as premium complete that this title is a part of. So there's an opportunity to click through and these learn more links, premium complete, for example, would take us right back to what we were just looking at here with the premium complete landing page. And you can see the dynamic counts and all the other great titles that are available as part of a larger subscription offering. Additionally, you have a description of the book for understanding more how to apply, and then related titles. And this rolls up to discoverability and transparency about all the great content on the platform. As it relates to the 21 building code, we're linking here for the revision history, the essentials, flashcards, study companion, supplemental opportunities. And so a user's landing on this page, again, just a reminder that I am not signed in. The basic opportunity, the basic experience is available to those users simply by way of the table of contents. So that experience hasn't changed where basic is available. The user would be able to click through from any of the chapters or any of the sections, and you will find that the full chapter contents are accessible. with the identifier here that you're consuming this through basic view. So the contents are available, but it is in a read-only mode. And again, all those great premium features are not accessible at this point. Okay. And then one other thing I wanted to call out is as multiple versions become available for these titles, print vernacular for the physical offerings, all of those earlier versions are available to be traversed here across any title where multiple versions are included. By default, the application will direct the user to the most recent version that's been posted and available. But for any of these where an earlier version is desired, or if a user wants to see how a section has evolved, this dropdown will allow you to easily traverse into an earlier version of their respective title. Okay, and then going back to the landing page, so we've covered some of the content, we've covered some of the access points. The other opportunity to jump into a very specific set of content is through the mega menu experience. So this has evolved as well. Whereas previously we had a single find codes link, we've embraced the subcategorization here inside the mega menu as well. So the user has the opportunity, whether it's from publisher, whether it's from locations, you can drill to a specific location before clicking through and being taken to the category page. So we can see here going directly to California. The menu here on the left-hand side allows me to still traverse all of this great content, but it mitigates the number of clicks up front by allowing me to be very targeted with what I seek. As a basic user, we are promoting more of the great premium tools. So all those are listed out here. And while they are inaccessible, we do have this call to action to promote the awareness of the free trial and encourage as many users to take advantage of that as possible. And then two new additions down here that I wanted to make sure to call out. The webinars page, and again, a great opportunity as we're currently on one of the webinars, but it's an opportunity to keep abreast of latest updates, latest changes, latest features as they're introduced to the Digital Codes platform. And in addition to an opportunity to find where the next webinar is and register for it, we're going to be adding recorded webinars once they're completed to this page. So even any colleagues you have that may not have been able to attend today, but are interested in some of these changes, we'll be posting this recording from this page. So they'll have an opportunity to watch this and learn. And then the other new page here is Premium for Teams. So working with more than one individual where licenses might be providing an opportunity for collaboration, there's two targeted opportunities inside of Digital Codes Premium for supporting those efforts. Those being Digital Codes Premium Enterprise, which is a relatively new product offering that we've brought to market that we're really excited about. Digital Codes Premium Enterprise ensures a dedicated seat for each user across your team and provides administrative tools so that you can see how all the individuals within an organization are utilizing those licenses, as well as what contents or what searches are most prevalent. The other opportunity is concurrent licenses, and that's something a lot of you may be familiar with. This can be configured by the end users with any purchase subscription. And what Concurrent does is bundles the licenses under an alphanumeric code that can be distributed to individuals across a team. The only limitation with Concurrent is going to be the number of users that can be utilizing those licenses at the same time. So for example, a team of 20 individuals who purchases 5 licenses of Digital Codes Premium, configures all 5 to be concurrent, would be limited to only having 5 users in the system performing searches, entering notes, sharing links at the same time. That 6th individual who tries to connect would receive a message saying that all licenses are in use and they would need to wait for one of those licenses to free up. Compare and contrast that against Enterprise, which ensures that every person on your team, so again, that same scenario, a team of 20, every person would have access whenever they need it to ensure that they don't hit an inopportune time that they're not able to access the contents or the notes that they need. And we've got this nice comparison table as well, just kind of calling out more of the information between those two. For anyone interested in this, the link both at the top of the page and the bottom provides a direct inroad to Mr. Phil Anthony, who kicked us off on this webinar today, who can provide more context and provide a demo of the great opportunities between these. All right, and last but not least, circling back is going to be the navigation changes here at the top. For those familiar with the previous implementation, you may recall there was a drop down to the left as well as a toggle to the right. The big change that we aimed is to make this easier or more efficient, if you will, for the user to engage a search and be working with the results set. So in working with this, just by moving your mouse inside the search bar, you'll see that what we've actually done is combine the two types of searches into a consolidated stack, or a simplified stack, if you will. The content search, which is part of the premium subscription feature set, will match where the occurrences of your keyword occur within the contents themselves, so across chapters, sections, appendices, etc. And then title search, which continues to be available to everyone on the platform so that you can discover the titles that match your keywords across the platform. The default here will show the trending popular search terms, and this is across all premium users. So some of the popular ones here navigating for the IRC, the building code, stairs, etc. And the big call to action here again is making sure that users recognize all this great feature content is available with a premium subscription. And then the popular titles down here is going to be what's trending across all users on the platform. So potentially not surprising, building and residential code continue to be some of the most prominent, but the opportunity here is if these happen to be the titles that the user is most interested in, a single click gets you directly into the content landing page without ever having to touch your keyboard. As a basic user, the title search functions such that you can type any portion of a title or a keyword, and it's going to refine the suggestions as we type. So 2018 IBC, for example, is going to be more specific as I type that out, serving up the model code, the commentaries, and then the flashcards, as opposed to if I go more abstract or more generic with just IBC, we can see it's going to serve up multiple versions of the building code relevant to that acronym. Popular terms such as stairs, decks, means of egress, those terms are also mapped to the respective titles that they're relevant for. So users can not only see a suggested string or phrase that's popular or trending across the content search, but they also have a suggestion as to the best or the closest relevant match for a title of where to find context around that term. And if one of the 5 results served up here aren't the specific result the user's looking for, they can either click down here at the bottom to see all title results for the keyword, or they can hit enter on their keyboard, which is going to take them to a paginated search of results for that specific term. And so here, if there's more than those 5 results, you have the opportunity to step through and find the desired term of interest to you. Okay, so I'll pause there for a second. Phil and Joram, before I sign in and start showing the premium side of the house, any questions or any feedback that we want to address?
No, there's general questions. It looks like people are messaging us privately. I think that's the only way they can do it, but I think we're answering to everyone in the group. So there's just been general questions, nothing to go back to. So go ahead and proceed on.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, sir. All right, so I'm going to sign in with my account here. The account I'm going to be demoing from has premium complete allowances. So whether through the trial or whether through a paid subscription, anyone with complete will be consistent with what I'm showing here. First thing you'll notice is when signing in, it'll reflect my premium tier under my name here in the upper right-hand column. So the 1, 2, or 3 diamond tier will indicate singles, collections, or complete. And then the primary logo has been replaced here with Digital Codes Premium to indicate that I am inside of an authenticated account with premium permissions enabled. The other thing you will notice is by way of signing in, I was redirected to the My Library page. This is the default starting point for those that have premium. And what's served up here are your recently viewed, recently added, and premium bonus content. And users have the opportunity to see everything in their premium library through this View Entire Library tab here on the right. So again, it provides a more direct inroad for accessing a lot of the contents. From a search standpoint, comparing and contrasting what's in the navigation from a basic or a non-signed in user to a premium user, the biggest change you'll see is this advanced search. I'm going to show how to take advantage of that fully in just a moment here, but as a power user or as somebody who leverages the content search very heavily, that becomes a powerful tool at your disposal. All right, so similar to before, if I put my mouse just inside of the search bar here and click, one of the big changes you'll see is the type of suggestions served up. Because I have a premium account and because I'm signed in, the application knows knows a lot more about my interactions with the application. So what's served up here are the 5 most recent searches that I personally have conducted. This becomes beneficial because just by a single click, I can trigger these searches to get immediately into the results. Likewise, instead of what's popular for titles, this is going to serve up the 5 titles I've accessed most frequently. So this becomes almost like a history as I traverse throughout the site. Becomes really beneficial if you are an individual who potentially traverses between the office and the field. The title where you may have left off on is now accessible with a single click without even having to touch your keyboard. And then as I type in as a premium user, my search term, means of egress as a good example here. And again, the requirement is you need to spell it correctly. We'll see that the more targeted of a search I type in, the more relevant the suggested values here in the dropdown become. Visually, we're bolding the terms that are different between what the user has typed and what's in the suggested values. This is to make it easy to identify perhaps a longer or more specific string without having to type everything out. So means of appeal, means of egress. We can see as I go a little bit further, it's going to narrow it down, very specific term here. And I can either select this or I can hit enter. So even with this means of egress, for example, we can see this returned 27,000 results. And these are highlighting in yellow where those relevant results are being served up from within the respective titles. As we look at the result sets themselves, the section number and the section title are listed here at the top. Both of those are hyperlinks. So clicking on those would take the user into the chapter view for that respective result so that you can read the text for applying that section correctly with what comes both before and after that relevant section. Additionally, for a result set across a very wide set of results like this, the breadcrumbs really come in handy identifying what title, what chapter, and even what section this specific result is being sourced from. And before we go into the filters here, I wanted to call out for each one of these result sets, there is a premium tool set. This first one here would be the same action as clicking on the title to take you into the chapter view of where this section exists. Copy the section to clipboard allows you to actually grab the full text of this section and pull it into another application. For example, a permitting tool or an inspection software that you may be using in compliance or in parallel with Digital Codes Premium. For a citation allows you to quickly pull the source content. Print will generate this into a PDF that can be used as an appendix or be taken offline as necessary. Link sharing will allow you to send this with any external constituent. And what's really nice here is just by entering the email address, the user would be able to receive this link. And so long as the title that the link is being shared from has a basic allowance, the individual receiving this would be able to pull up that section and be viewing the contents at the same time. So this really becomes relevant for a building office that may be fielding calls from constituents or residents about how to apply the building codes. No longer do you need to send them a copy or scan an email while on the phone. You can actually ask their email, send them this link, and say, okay, now that we're both looking at this, let's talk through exactly how this reads and what it means for our use case. And then last but not least, as we build more complex searches, there may be multiple sections that are relevant for our use case from the same stack. So this bookmark section allows us to add notes and classify them for our organizational purposes for use at any further time. Within the bookmarks themselves, we have formatting. So we can do color coding, we can do strike through and underline. That becomes relevant if we're capturing amendments or specific requirements for a use case, for an inspection, for a construction project. And then down here, any of the project tags we've previously defined are available to us in a dropdown, or we can define a new tag. And some of the popular ways for a user to be organized with project tags would be a physical address for a construction site. And so that's, you'll see some of the examples here. It could be a jurisdictional name if it's amendments being incorporated. It could even be a resident's last name if you're performing an inspection. Likewise, topics are really valuable as you're preparing for a certification exam as a study aid flagging all these bookmarks is a really unique opportunity. And what I can show in a second here is there is a premium page allowing you to manage your notes across all your titles. So any title I've added a note and classified as atriums, for example, I can actually go pull up all of my atrium-centric notes and even export those to a PDF so that I have a nice study companion available to me. All right. Within the search itself, so means of egress as a complete user is returning 27,000 results. Very large result set, potentially not very usable if there's a specific section that I'm looking for. So the opportunity here is to refine this in real time as necessary. So with these categories, I can come in here, I can refine based on any specific state that I may be working within. So I can flag Florida here. You can see that as I step through these filters, it's going to refine my result set in real time. So 27,000 dropped all the way down to 1,200, just as simple as applying Florida. And I can even narrow it down further. And these are all dynamic values. So it means because I've selected Florida, it's allowing me to drill down further into the years that have valid results for Florida titles. And I can even go all the way down to an individual title if desired. And that's going to narrow my scope to a much more manageable result set. So I can see 352. And if I go all the way down even to say the plumbing code, I get a much smaller result set, 6 results. So this is going to give me a much more actionable set for the specific use case that I'm looking for. If I still don't find what I'm looking for, what I'm going to do is remove the individual title so I can get a little bit bigger result set. And I'm going to show how we can take advantage of our advanced term search. So I'm back to 352. And let's say of these first couple means of egress, but I don't want any sections that refer to construction. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to remove the word construction from consideration for my result set. And I'm going to refine this again, and we can see that my 352 results refines even smaller. Down to 295, so not as much as we would have expected. But again, by utilizing the advanced term search, I can add in any of these words or all these words as well to refine my result set and get as specific or as narrow as are necessary for my use case. And I'm provided context around the application of my filters here on the left-hand side. With exact phrase, with none of these words, I can see what my category refinements are. And I have the ability, as I build a complex search, to save these terms or these settings at any point, which will add it down here to the bottom. Let me go ahead and do that. Save search. We're going to call this the webinar search. And then we can see by saving that, it actually pulls my search term down here. And by clicking on that, I can execute these same settings at any point without having to do these refinements or these advanced search terms the next time. If I come in here, I can click on advanced search, which is going to clear everything out. And this is also a use case of what I had mentioned earlier, somebody starting at my premium library. If you click on advanced search, it's going to bring you directly to this page with means of egress as a relevant example. Searching that at the top is going to return 27,000 results. If I want to be much more focused on a search before conducting that keyword, I can actually come in here from this advanced search and I can apply a category refinement. So we did Florida before, let's do California this time. So I can narrow it to California. While we're hitting refresh here, any questions that are coming in?
Answering most of them going through here. Go ahead, Jorm.
So there was a question, one about can the same person log in at the same time to both the web and the mobile app? Does it require 2 or 1 license?
They can. So if it's with an end user subscription, you can use your same credentials on both the browser and the mobile app at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question for clarification because people have asked about installing it on their computers and things like this. I guess, Daniel, go ahead and just cover the fact that it is web-based. I mean, resizing windows side by side, maybe some of those features too people have asked about, and that is an advantage. It's not a downloaded software. You access it anywhere from the browser.
Sure, that's a great point. So I'll actually pivot back to this chapter view because I think this is the best way to illustrate it. You'll notice I have a wide browser display here, so the content will stretch the full width. I could even collapse my table of contents, which is going to have the screen go full width here, taking full advantage of my screen. But if I had a smaller device, which I can simulate here just by resizing my browser window, you can see how the text responds in real time. And as I get small enough even, it snaps to the mobile display, which is why you see the menu options go to the bottom of the screen. If you think ergonomically holding your phone, this would be making these links accessible to your thumb as opposed to a lot of scrolling. And as we pull that back open, you can see it snaps to whatever width is available from the resolution or from the screen that the content is being consumed through. Speaking of content, I will jump over to the flashcards. I wanted to show these that I had mentioned at the beginning of the webinar as a new enhancement across the digital offerings. We do have these available for each of the 21 I codes as well as the 2018 I codes. And it becomes a great study aid for those preparing for certification or even just testing their aptitude of the code requirements. A little bit of a different approach from the physical offering. These questions are grouped by chapter. So you have the relevant topic that flows in parallel or in sequence to the I code. And the idea as we scroll through here, each one of the questions presents the query and the answer is hidden by default. So the user has a chance to really test themselves to see how well they know it. And just by clicking on the answer grid, it will toggle the display, as well as reference the specific section in the I code where that answer occurs. And with the digital experience, just by hovering over that, you're able to quickly reference the text from that section without even losing your place on the page. Clicking through on this would take you to that full text. But again, if that's something, okay, you've got your confirmation, you can actually click to close that and move on to the next question. So it provides a lot of value in the scope of the page that you're currently on. And what's nice here is all the premium tools are available for each one of these questions as well. So the bookmarks that we had mentioned just a moment ago gives the user an opportunity to add a note, whether this is something they know or whether it's something they know they want to circle back to because they didn't know the answer. You can actually create project tags here for maybe something I know well versus I need to revisit. And the idea is, let's say this is a tough question. I'm going to create a new tag for study more. And what's nice is I define a project tag. I can choose any color with these that I want. Go ahead and hit save. We can see that my note is applied here in line, but where this really becomes valuable is as I work through the flashcards, each one of these that I add a bookmark to are going to be stacked here. And with the project tags, I can actually filter them out. So for those that I know I want to study more, I apply this tag, and it's going to list out all of those questions across the entire set of flashcards that I know I want to circle back to and test myself on more frequently. Imagine this with study more. Maybe you have one that you know confidently, so you can flag those. And then when you're circling back to study further, you know you can omit those from your focus as opposed to what you want to make sure to look at more regularly. With respect to one of these sections, I did want to recap too some of the great premium features that are available. So we had mentioned with the basic allowance, the contents are available in read-only format. Comparing and contrasting that against, jump into chapter 4 here, there's a lot of additional tags, a lot of additional features that will be layered into the premium experience to make this more engaging. So a couple of them you'll notice right off the top are going to be your tagged contents to the respective section titles. It's going to provide supplemental materials to enhance the understanding and the application of that section. Any of the references to different sections as we scroll through are going to be hyperlinks that either hovering on will pull in the peek ahead that we call, so you can see the text, or clicking on them will allow you to jump right to that section. And then the notes capabilities. So I've got a couple here that I've added showing that highlights would allow you to select a subset of the text and apply a note to it, or a bookmark, which would allow you to add the note to the entire section. Go ahead, I'll add that here. And so we can see where a highlight actually applies a color-coded text to the section itself. The bookmark appears in line, but it would apply to the entire section. As we scroll down a little bit further, one of the key tags that I wanted to identify here, section 403, is the evolution of the codes that we had mentioned earlier. So using 403.222 here as an example, where we have premium tags, this information includes revision history and hearing videos from the prior cycle. So clicking on any of these will provide the full change that was approved and incorporated into this version of the codes, where we can see everything from the cost impact, the committee reason, and the final action, as well as the hearing video information. So if there was ever a question on a change within a given section, the user has full capabilities to see all that evolution, all that content around the testimony and those changes. And that would be what impacted the codes as they read today. The other piece on here, which is available across all of the 2021 I-codes, are these Cdp tags. And these provide real-time access to the proposals under consideration in the current code development process. So this one, for example, is G722. This is a proposal that's being heard in this cycle that, if approved, would impact the 2024 version of the International Building Code. And the user from here has context to actually get involved in the CDP access process, that either if you feel strongly for or against this code change, the opportunity is there, whether through public comments or testimony or even attending the hearings, to get involved and have your voice heard in the evolution of these code books. And as mentioned too, the notes here are refined. We showed how this would work for the flashcards, but that same functionality exists across all of your I-code or premium titles as well. So the more heavy users of the notes feature have an opportunity to streamline and only look at the notes that are relevant for their specific use case. A really beneficial application here is, again, for those individuals that may work in both the office and the field. You can load up all your notes or your citations or your amendments and then filter to the respective location while you're there performing the work. And the last thing I wanted to show is from the My Project Tags page. I had mentioned that any notes you create across any of my notes and bookmarks, excuse me, any of the notes you've created across any of your titles can actually be searched and managed from a central screen here. So when we look at all of our project tags, and this is going to pull up because I have quite a few across my account, but it's going to allow me to filter all my project tags across those 800 premium complete titles. And I can actually filter those, or I can export them here to a PDF so that I have a physical copy that I can take with me if necessary. Okay, so I will pause there. The one thing I did want to circle back and reiterate, Phil had mentioned at the start of the webinar, but we do encourage users to share their experiences, share their suggestions, share even their pain points. That's how we make Digital Codes Premium as powerful for all of our users as we possibly can. So again, this feedback tab is available for everybody. Strongly encourage, please take advantage of it. Send regular feedback, send regular inputs here to the Digital Codes Premium team. And so showing here, so I pulled up all of my titles. You can see my set of project tags. And if I filter for just one of these, it'll actually refine and it'll pull up all of the titles across my entire library where I have notes relevant to that project tag. I can expand out to see what those are, what the highlighted text is. And I can either select all, or I can select a subset. I can give my PDF a title. So we'll call this my supplement. And I can kick this out to a PDF where I have the context for this to take with me. Right, so that being said, I will say, Phil and Joram, any questions? Otherwise, I will turn it back over to the two of you.
Actually, I was just answering questions, but did you describe how the Migrate Notes work for the new cycles while you're on this page?
Great point. Yeah, so the Migrate Notes ensures that as different versions or even different cycles of the codes become available, the users don't need to recreate their notes, say when the 2024 building codes come out. So the Migrate Notes actually allows you to take any of the annotations or bookmarks you've created in this title and dynamically move them to any other title in the application. What it'll look to do is see if the section title and number are the same. It will allow you to move it forward. if a section has been relocated or a section has been renamed where the title is not a direct match, it'll walk you through a wizard to help the user relocate it to the appropriate location. And the two options here are either moving the notes or cloning the notes. So the opportunity is that the notes can exist in both places, meaning on the 21 and the 24 if desired, or you can move them just to the 24, which would remove them from the 21 version. And it just keeps the number of notes in your library a little more manageable.
And then to dive into that a little bit more, when you're making notes, if you have an individual license, then those notes are, just your own. You do have the ability to share a specific note with another user. But what some departments and jurisdictions are doing, and people are asking about concurrent group of licenses, but if you have, let's just say 10 licenses, whether it's 10 people or 50 people who share those, any notes that are made within that group of the concurrent license that you designated will be seen by everyone and shared. So if you are going through the code cycles and creating notes, so all the notes that everyone has made and project tags and everything, that's what Daniel was referring to, can be migrated to the next code cycle when your locality moves into that.
That is correct.
And then also, could you give a brief overview? There has been a couple questions about state-specific codes, like some of the collections and why some states do that, or give an example where there are changes to the I-code that have been adopted and why that happens with some states, not others.
Sure. So some of those examples, California, Florida, New York are a couple of the bigger examples where the state will partner with ICC to create a custom set of titles with all of those amendments or changes integrated. And so what gets authored then is a set of titles very specific to that state and that cycle, which are digitized and posted here to digital codes. For a lot of the states, and again, the rules will vary state by state as to how they're adopted, whether it's a home rule state where it's adopted and the jurisdictions are allowed to override with individual amendments as necessary, or if it's an I-code, for example, that's adopted and enforced statewide, that information is communicated here as applicable from the description of the state, and then those relevant titles are listed out on the state page. And ICC is partnering with many of the states to get as many of these comprehensive solutions in place as possible.
Also, Danny, while you're there, can you pull up the premium complete page again that shows the titles included and the optional add-ons? And people have asked about, there are codes, SDOs that we work with, some that we do have on our platform. Can you kind of explain how that works? Some are PDFs, some we don't have on there. And then, go through the available add-on titles. So I guess kind of, how it's presented due to specific licensing, agreements and things. It may appear different or not be included.
And that's exactly it. It's for each one of these that aren't included in Premium Complete, it's a facet of that license agreement between the SDO and ICC. For one reason or another, it wasn't feasible to pull this into Complete, but we wanted to ensure that the content or the title was still available to users of digital codes. So that's why these are posted. Most of these are available as add-on from a Premium Singles standpoint, so that even individuals with Premium Complete can still select one of these based on relevancy or based on use case and add them into their premium library on a case-by-case basis. And as of right now, the majority of these are either ASHRAE standards, all of which are a part of the energy collection, but are available as premium singles as well for ease of adding these to a complete subscription, as well as I believe these are some of the Wiley titles that are also available as single add-ons. So again, as you scroll through here, all these offerings, that are add-on are available, but it shows those that are not a part of the complete offering.
Yep, and that recently added is great over there too. People are asking about the flashcards, as you can see, as you go into there. And Daniel mentioned the dynamic count. Just a month ago, I think we're at 600. Now we're almost at 800. So flashcards were in there, and that's a way to keep updated with everything. There are questions about large scale deployments and multiple use, but let me just check with Jorm if there was something you had seen or whatever to address before we're going to wrap it up here in 5 minutes. Any other thing, Jorm, you saw?
I think you answered one of them about the amendments, revisions, clarifications issued for codes. Did they keep an updated list, or better yet, do perhaps update the code officials code to reflect any changed issues issued?
Yep. And then,
Uh,
and then on the carousel, Daniel, you know, show where if you got a collection there, if you know, with the P as opposed to a PDF, all the titles that we have digitized and all the feature that Daniels are showing are the premium titles, as we call it, you know, digital codes premium. So the ability to make notes, highlight, copy, paste, all that are available. There are some older codes, or there's some standards that may be in a PDF view, so you can still view the content. It just doesn't have those features. But the specific question someone had asked about the state codes. I mean, California, for example, and when you pull those up, that is the premium digitized version. Everything we showed you with, you know, notes and everything it is operational there. And there's Daniel showing you what the PDF would look like.
Right. Yeah. So where it's the PDF format, there is an icon underneath communicating that. Most of these, as Phil had alluded to, are the older titles, or where contract requirements dictate a PDF format is being posted here to digital codes.
All right, and then let's just circle back. Pull up the Premium for Teams page. There's a few questions. So just to kind of give a quick overview, and this is where I encourage people to go ahead and send me an email, or, you know, there's contact information on these websites here. But if you can, you know, if you read that web address there, you could go see this information as an overview. Just want to, you know, let you know, for like smaller departments, you know, let's say you got 20 people in there. I think I just used the example of you could get 5 licenses if you wanted to, if that's what your budget allows. Those 5 licenses start off as individual licenses in your account, but you could create a concurrent group of 5 licenses, and with that concurrent code, you could distribute it to 10 people. Or 15. You know, if you get a 16th person, you just give them the code, and then they will all be able to access through their own account. You see Daniel's name up there in the upper right-hand corner. They'll create their own account, and then that little icon to the next of it, after they're logged in and it reads their name, will show the concurrent login, and they use the code that you created, and they will be able to access those 5 licenses. If a 6th person, and Daniel kind of covered this, if, you know, the next person, if all 5 licenses are being used, they would be not denied access. But you know, that's one way of managing it. You see over to the right, we have an enterprise platform, and instead of calling those individual licenses, call those seats. So if you're getting into, you know, it could be any number, but if you're getting a larger, you know, 50, 100, you know, more than that, or you have people who are engineers or people out in the field who need to have access and always have a guaranteed seat, the enterprise will offer that ability, so you can deploy seats that will always be able to access the content, rather than the concurrent licenses that I gave an overview of, where you could get locked out if you do not have enough licenses to cover the number of users that are interested in using it. With the enterprise, you do have some more administrative functions, so you can see who's actually accessing it, and you can remove users. In a concurrent group, you do not know if all the licenses are being used at that time. You would just have to log in. So, you know, the ease of deployment with the concurrent group of licensing, you know, has some drawbacks. I'll let you know that if someone is inactive while using a concurrent license, for 20 minutes, they will be logged out, so they're not monopolizing that. But you know, you can't go in and, you know, kick someone else or block them. You would, if you have to, you know, people leave, you'd have to edit the code for access and then redistribute it. So I'm going to let Daniel wrap up for 2 minutes here. These are all great questions. I think Joram and I got all of them. If we did not, I'll repost my email in there. Feel free to contact me. We had a large, great group here. I thank everyone for attending, but I will get back to you if you do contact with me with those specific questions, and we can develop solutions for your objectives. So we are going to stop right on time here. Daniel, go ahead and wrap up, and thanks everyone for attending.